Every night I have to wear my headphones, playing white noise. So all these bugs, the sound of them just flitting around doesn't drive me absolutely insane. Yeah, the sheer quantity of bugs in these woods just ruins what would otherwise be a beautiful scene of sunlight coming in through the trees. But they have effectively destroyed it. Why haven't we come up with like something that targets the mosquito DNA, just kills it? Because I don't think they actually do anything good for the world, right? They don't spread pollen. They don't do anything good. Kill them. So let's just kill them. Is that nice? Is that good? Feel better? Well, welcome to day 92. It is June 2nd, 2024. The next city on our route is called Linköping. I think we're still a few days away from that. But the thing that makes that kind of cool is on day 1, up in Miham. I don't know if that's pronunciation is correct, but up there in Norway before I departed to walk to Kinoroden, or Cape Nordkin. I met a couple named Helen and Per at the hotel breakfast, and they live in Linköping, so I'll get to see them again from day 1 to day probably like 94 or 5 or something. Not that I don't like Sweden, but just for the sake of progress, I'm hoping to be out of Sweden and into Denmark by around the 20th or so. That way I'll still have 2 months left, because I think I got here on the 20th. We're gonna take a break on the grounds of this church. See all those pieces of metal sticking out of the church? I'm pretty sure those are cross braces. There's a piece of rebar or some sort of straight metal stuck on the edge of that, and it goes through to the other wall, and it prevents the walls from spreading. And it's cool how they're just sort of in a haphazard design. This is not interesting content, but that church we were at, it was so cool and windy. I was actually like a bit chilly. I was like, this is a great walk of weather. Let's get out there. The sun right now is gotta be at least 5 million miles closer to the earth than it used to be. It's so hot. Like, oh, I can't explain it. Poor Jack is wearing all black. Silly goose. I haven't translated the sign, but it's on this old building. I'm guessing it means like, don't trespass, please. But I like how the police character is like a little caricature. There's just like this attitude of like, even when they're saying, please don't trespass, it's like with a little picture of a policeman. And it's just kind of cute. Instead of like super angry and we will shoot you. More like, por favor, policeman indicates that this is the law. Please don't do it. And everybody's like, respectful, we get it, for sure. I don't know, there's just a completely different attitude towards like how people treat each other over here, and it's often for the better in terms of laws. But like I said, America does tend to be more social amongst strangers. Those look like windows all the way at the top, which makes that one of the more cool buildings I've seen. Given that I am greedy, I want the best of both worlds right now. I want clouds blocking out the sun so it's pleasant to walk, but I don't want any rain. I don't want any mist. Thank you. Circle K around here is super into hot dogs. They're very proud of their hot dog offerings. These Circle K's have sort of become like my secret sauce. This is 3 Circle K's in a row that I found an outlet outside that work. McDonald's have been very disappointing in that I haven't found any outlets in any of them. Circle K's also have some menu of cooked foods. Sometimes they've got burgers and fries. Sometimes it's just their famous hot dogs. And then they almost always have water. In fact, I haven't found any that haven't had water spigot outside that I'm able to use. So it's a triple win. Not exactly sure what's in this hot dog, but it's a hot dog. It looks like it's got some mashed potatoes, and I'm sure it'll be okay, even if the sauce looks a little suspect. Gentleman was from Bosnia. He gave me those pert lozenges. He said they're good for when you're exercising. He uses them when he goes on walks. I don't know if you noticed, but if you need to, you can go back and rewind it a tiny bit. The SUVs, the big trucks, the big rigs, the big haulers around here, their high beams or their LEDs, their lights, their headlights are down way low relative to kind of where you might expect them for a vehicle. And I think that's so they don't blind the people in front of them in their rear view mirrors like they do where I'm from. This place is so pretty. Is 10:27 p.m. What? The sun is still up? Yep, it will be until 1 a.m. when it'll go away for 2 hours. It's really cool how much light they have here. I actually like it. I'm not complaining. It makes lights like these where I'm struggling just a tiny bit to find somewhere to sleep a little bit easier because at least it's not dark out. So that's nice. Look at this dog. He's so dang cute. Look at his tail go. Oh, he's such a dog. Jack is very excited about the tall grass. I am not. I don't want to sleep in it. I'm afraid snakes might be in it. But I'm just, like I said, having a hard time finding a spot. I'm not morally opposed to getting a hotel room or something like that. More like financially opposed. Financially restricted. I think there's a couple factors. One, I've got the dog. It's harder to get a hotel room that's suitable. 2, I don't know. I just feel like I don't need to spend that money. I mean, I can swing a hotel room now and again. If I don't need to, I'd rather save that money. And it's Sweden. You're supposed to be able to sleep anywhere. I know in Germany they don't want you dispersed camping out in the bush. Obviously, if you hide, you can do it like I did in America. You're not really supposed to just sleep anywhere in America either. But I figure if it's going to be harder there, I should save up my inevitable hotel splurges on times where it's probably going to be more required. In Sweden, where the cultural norm is like it's totally cool most of the time, as long as you just aren't a pest about it. I don't want to use up my hotel allocation funds to do that, especially since I've had a bunch of unexpected costs just getting here. Jack's vet appointment was pretty expensive. All the flights were expensive, etc., etc. I feel like I've been spending a lot of money, so now I'm trying to like bump the brakes where I can. Found a spot. Good night. 11:20 p.m. Yikes. Morning. Welcome to day 93. Do constant videos of my dog count as content? If so, you're welcome. Another day, another beautiful campsite full of bugs. Whoop, 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 whoop. Ain't that right, buddy boy? Buddy, 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 buddy. I met a couple, a man and his wife, a woman and her husband, when I was in Miham, very small village with an airport nearest to the northernmost point of the European continent, Cape Nordkin. I met them at the hotel breakfast. So before I'd even started walking, like an hour before. And they live here in Linköping. So I'm gonna go say hi to them, and it's gonna be fun to see them again. They said they'd bring hot chocolate, so even if they're not as entertaining as I would think, which I'm sure they will be, there will be hot chocolate. Chirp, 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 chirp. So many good sniffs in the world. I like these little self-driving robot lawnmowers. I know they have them in the US too, but Jack, that's not our yard. They're quite common here. Just trying to remember. Welcome to Lynn Shopping. We've got about 2 miles, I think, until I get to my friend's house. Getting an impromptu photo shoot with Jorgen, is that right? Jorgen Engström. He actually borrowed my camera to take some pictures of me and Jack. And this is a friend of yours, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, you guys just help each other out? You wanted to see the dog. It's a good time. I think any unusual life path like this, one that requires a lot of strenuous work without super obvious payoffs, one of the biggest questions is always why. And there are big, large scope reasons why, but I think most of it comes down to the small details. There's a book I read that talked about people who achieve big things usually aren't in love with the end result. They're in love with the process. And unless you find something whose process you love, you'll never really be motivated to put in all the work that it takes on a day-by-day basis to get to the big end result. That usually is what people notice more often. And I think that's the case for me. It has a lot of big end results that I really like. Big stories and big accomplishments and big changes in how my body feels and etc., etc. But most of it, bulk of my time, is just spent enjoying scenes like this, feeling the breeze. And I also like how so much more of my time than would otherwise be spent like this is forced to be in the now, my attention, in the present, as I have to take in my surroundings, figure out where I'm going, sort of figure out how to get the things I need: water, food, power, somewhere to sleep. Usually, a lot of those things are sort of figured out already, at least in the life I'm familiar with. You know where you're going to sleep every night, you know where your water comes from, you know how to get food, you know what you're going to do that day, by and large, at least routine. I guess that's true for me too. But there's a lot more that's new, and so it just forces my brain to stay on more often, and that just makes me feel more like a person and not a piece of computer code. Anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's the peace and stillness in the feeling of being alive that I get for 10 to 12 hours a day, instead of just far less frequent snippets of that I used to get in between figuring out or navigating a routine that was dictated to me by a life that included a lot more routine. I don't know if that's a good answer or a bad answer, for it's long-winded or boring. Probably all three, sort of, a little bit. Proof that I have to be paying attention to my surroundings. I missed my turn during that monologue, and now I need to backtrack. I think I made it. I'll text them. That should work. Helen and Per, those were the names. It was cool to see them again. He was a doctor, she was a physical therapist. They're both retired now, but he was telling me stories of being a doctor here in Sweden where they've got publicly funded healthcare. And so they would get their salary kind of just from the government regardless of what was going on. But when patients needed to come in, he was like, and then to get a doctor's appointment cost the patient $10, $20. And then if they needed x-rays or tests or whatever, that was all just included. And if they needed to go to a specialist, then their initial visit was free. Different system than in the US, where going to the hospital is basically a ingredient for bankruptcy. We're gonna go find somewhere to charge our power banks, because that's my entire life. And then we're headed to the next town, the next shopping, but it'll be several days before we get there. So pretty. Thank you to another Circle K. Now we're headed out of town. Might grab a bite to eat. Don't know where, probably somewhere local, like the big Golden Arches. Next town is called Shopping, but I probably won't get there for probably 4 or 5 days. Are you ready? I'm ready. Well, let's go. So begins the 4-day jaunt, Jack. I need to prepare you for what you're about to see. Look at this context. I'm about to show you something that's right behind this fence. And I want you to take a guess as to what it is. And I want you to know that you will be wrong. That is a full-sized horse statue. This is how the Swedes do graffiti. Little criminals. There's one thing that Sweden also does really well, because I've just been nothing but complimentary towards them. In this YouTube series, it's incorporating a lot of green space into their cities. This is right adjacent to a neighborhood, but it feels very real, not like a crafted park. This is the name of the park. I think. You can do mini golf, admire statues. Okay, this area is awesome. It looks like, I don't think it's a recreation. This must be like the old part of town, or an old part of town that has survived while other parts were rebuilt over the years and burned down, as inevitably happens in old cities. It's gorgeous. Can't deny that. Well, you can, but you'd be wrong, and you'd know it in your heart if you really thought about it. Not to be immature, but the suffix fart is actually pretty common right here. I've seen infart, oot-fart. I'm pretty sure I've seen hump fart. Jimbly. There are entire YouTube channels dedicated to like grass, like mowing and stuff. This channel is now just a long grass YouTube channel. I cannot think of like a more heartwarming scene than tall grass blowing in the wind in direct sunlight. I really like it. It lifts the mood. So Swedish. We got a flag right there. And a church right there. Supermarket. You guys judge my Swedish. Furubakavägen.
My girlfriend lives here.
That's a good reason.
We have stuck together in 6 years.
Fear the wind is going to ruin this audio. That was Victor and his dog Elvis, who's 8 months, but is twice as muscular as Jack. He's just a big boy. Victor had, I think, the thickest Swedish accent I've ever heard, in like a good way. It was just cool to see like how Swedish he was. I don't want to try to show you what his accent looked like for fear of looking like I'm mocking, but it just had all these intonations and was really cool. Really nice guy. He works as a lumberjack, basically. He harvests wood for lumber. Believe it or not, I know my YouTube videos aren't very good. I'm not very good at it, but I hope to get better. I'm working on it. But the thing that I think is worth doing is just, I mean, proving that moments like these, one, to me, that they happened. I mean, just look at this road, the sun, these trees, light. I mean, people go very, very long amounts of time searching for moments like these. People spend a lot of moments, money, vacations, trying to make memories like this happen. And I found that really the only way to do it is not to go to a particular location, not to try to force it to happen in a particular amount of time. Just spend more time out there, somewhere. And usually, if you just spend more time out there, these moments will find you. I have a lot of unremarkable days doing this, but I have a lot more moments like this, given the amount of time I just spend out. I also recognize that I'm in a pretty privileged position to be doing this. By pretty privileged, I mean quite. So I get that not everybody can devote all their time to just waiting for incredible scenes to happen to them. But I think everybody can intentionally choose to spend a little bit more time outside.
So like the middle part is probably like cement or something.
Jack, you see the cows? Do you know who owns this land, or is it just part of some farm or something? That was Rebecca, spelled exactly like my mom. Not like M-Y-M-O-M, but my mom's name is also Rebecca. She showed us this meadow. She showed us a nice country estate, historical estate over there. And it was cool just to have someone tell me a little bit about the area. She's a PhD student studying biotech, specifically concerning heart failure detection technology. Pretty cool. Lived in Japan for 1.5 years, lived in Norway for 2 years, so a real world traveler. We're going to be staying here. We being me and Jack. And my cart. And my headphones. in my sunglasses.